into a party, a boardroom, even your place of work, and feel this sense of intimidation, you are not alone. Possessing feelings of being inferior is surprisingly normal and common. And an inferiority complex is simply a feeling of inadequacy that you might feel based upon real or imaginary ideas that you have about yourself and others. And it just so happens, because our inner critic loves to be our own worst enemy, that so much of what we're believing against ourselves is in our mind only. And it does not match whatsoever what other people are thinking about us. Because here's the thing, no one else has life figured out or feels confident all the time, and no one knows exactly what they're doing with their life either. In this video, I'm going to show you how to squash this feeling once and for all. But first, if you haven't already, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the little bell icon to get notified every time I upload a new video, because I'm dropping more and more juicy content. Sometimes in life, other people make us nervous. They make us feel inferior and not good enough. This covers the spectrum from higher ups at work, to love interests, to people we just don't know at parties, popular people from school or college, the office, even celebrities. And it's natural to feel like you have something to prove to other people sometimes. Often people we look up to, those who we don't know or people who just seem cool, can bring up a lot of feelings that we harbor about ourselves secretly, that we're not smart enough, interesting enough, good enough. And the good news here is that you are. You simply are. This is fixed. Because we are all equal, my friends. The same way that there's no superior animal, no superior ocean, or no superior star in the sky. As human beings, we are equal. And whatever your spiritual beliefs, we know that we all come from the same source. We're also all beautifully different than one another too, which means that all of us have some unique value and flavor to add to a conversation or a social setting. Now, only if we really knew and believed that, am I right? Here are some important truths to remember when your inferiority complex rears its ugly head. Number one, it's you, not them. The fear of others is generated within us, not by the people that we're thinking about. Realizing this helps us to really release it fast. We're so quick to jump to judgment when we feel inferior around somebody. We build them up to be superhuman and think that their life is perfect and that they're flawless, that they have it figured out and that they know everything. And the best way to snap out of this is to understand that this is created only in your thoughts, in your mind. It exists only there, and it has nothing to do with other people. Your inferiority complex is being generated exclusively by you. Number two, remember that every single human has faults, fears, and insecurities. Jordan Belfort, the infamous Wolf of Wall Street, said in his memoir, "I'm insecure and humble, and I embarrass easily, but I refuse to show it. If I had to choose between embarrassment and death, I'd choose death." So yeah, I'm a weak, imperfect person. Even wolves get scared. Feelings of inferiority plague all of us, and it's a large reason that so many famous people battle addiction. Their feelings of inferiority and imposter syndrome consume them, driving them to seek unhealthy forms of relief. And it doesn't matter how beautiful or rich or perfect seeming you are, what happens in your mind is what matters to your well-being the most. It's what impacts your confidence. And wisdom is truly knowing and understanding this. Imposter syndrome, in fact, is what we experience when we don't feel like we deserve our accomplishments. We feel that we've maybe fooled others into thinking that we're capable and attribute our achievements to blind luck or good timing. Our inability then to accept our gifts means that we feel like we're a fraud or an imposter, maybe even just waiting to be exposed. It's a horrible manifestation of the inferiority complex at work. Most common in high-achieving women too, imposter syndrome not only prevents us from enjoying success, it also massively limits our current potential. Feeling undeserving, like we're fake, we turn down a lot of wonderful new opportunities and creative ideas. And it's really the killer of many what might have beens. Does that sound like you? It sure sounds a lot like a lot of the excuses that I hear, including from myself, all the time. Number 3, remember that all people are just people like you. Several years ago, I did a series for Marie Claire where I interviewed some very cool people. Kris Jenner, Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx, Ariana Huffington, and lots more. My editor at the time wasn't sure I'd be able to book them for an interview, but I did. I managed to. It was pretty easy, in fact, and very fun to do the interviews. For me, it was fascinating to learn that the most important people out there are actually very approachable, very down to earth, and more accessible than you think. And this doesn't just apply to engaging with more successful people or famous people. It's applicable to all sorts of things, including dating. In fact, many years ago, I volunteered my phone number to a cute stranger at a concert in Sydney, Australia. We hit it off, and he was evidently a little shy, it seemed, in asking me for my number, so I offered it to him directly. He is now my husband of 11 years. Number 4, remember that other people are nervous too. Hey, have you ever thought that maybe even you might be intimidating? Shyness is misunderstood as aloofness all the time. In fact, a friend of mine who appears quite standoffish whenever he goes out, he confided me in one night that he's very shy and loves it when people interact with him because he's not confident in taking the initiative in new conversations with new people. When I shared that he does come across a little aloof, he was so surprised because it's the opposite of how he actually feels and views himself. So sometimes if you make the first social move and say hello, start a conversation, you might be eradicating 2 people's nerves at once. You don't have to make your mood and vibe about your fear and your feelings of inferiority. Sometimes the kind and generous thing to do is to assume that other people feel the same way that you do, a little uncomfortable. So focus on them, make them feel comfortable, and you'll put yourself at ease in an instant. And you'll notice your inferiority complex in that moment evaporate. Number 5, know that you're giving power to your ego when you worry and overthink. Intimidation, feelings of nerves is your lower self at play. As Ariana Huffington calls it, she calls it the obnoxious roommate in your head. She says, give them an eviction notice. Who benefits from an ego mind? No one in the end. And when you find yourself in this analysis paralysis mode, when your inferiority complex is bubbling up, thinking someone else is richer, thinner, more interesting than you, you can divert your thoughts and distract yourself. You can watch TV, call a cool, supportive friend, just whatever it takes. Don't stay in that dangerous place, that spiral. It can be switched in an instant whenever you choose something else. Shift your focus to something else. In A Course in Miracles, it says, I choose peace instead of this. What a wonderful message to switch gears with. Number 6, feeling inferior is banished with love and admiration. When we see other people through a lens of love and not through this lens of fear or intimidation, our complex fades fast. So the next time something happens that triggers you, maybe a friend lands a killer job, takes that dream trip abroad, buys a condo, gets engaged, you can sincerely congratulate them. Because when good stuff happens to other people, it just means that it's possible, right? If it's available to someone else, it's also available to you. Why wouldn't it be? Someone else's success does not take away from your success. It has nothing to do with you. You can even learn from other people's achievements and wins. Because success for others, when perceived correctly, shows us that getting what we want is possible for anyone. My friend Alexis, her body was transformed, I'll always remember this, with a bar workout. And her colleague joined the studio too that she went to almost every day. And she benefited from months of Alexis's research about the best workouts, when to do them and how. If her colleague came from this place of competition or comparison, rather than a place of curiosity and openness, she would have been closed off to this awesome new benefit. Number 7, do you. You can always decide to use your energy productively by focusing on what you have, not on what other people have. This puts an inferiority complex in its place, out of sight and out of mind. Consider, if you envy someone, ask yourself, would you want the less desirable parts of their lives too? I'm guessing probably not. Sometimes when I can't sleep, or maybe I'm waiting in line at the supermarket, or I'm waiting for something online, I love to even just think about and appreciate small things in my life in that present moment. Simple things like the constant Miami sun, the books I'm reading that I'm just devouring, happy hours sitting outside, maybe a new season of something that I love on Netflix. There is so much good in your life when you look for it. You can't hold feelings of appreciation and inferiority at the same time. So let appreciation win. Number 8, when scared, think, what is truly the worst thing that can happen? Someone might reject you, right? So what? So what is one of the greatest things you can ask yourself in this world. In my decade-long sales career, I went to countless pitches and networking events, and I've been rejected more times than I can remember, truly hundreds of times, in fact. And as far as I'm aware, I'm still alive and well, and certainly more successful as a result of going for it anyway. Being exceptional means making yourself uncomfortable. There's no getting around it. And a huge part of success is just being willing to do the things that other people aren't willing to do, like be uncomfortable. That includes putting your inferiority complex in check and taking all of it, everything out there, a whole lot less seriously. Remember, the universe is abundant and wants you to have everything that you want. And you block the flow of opportunity, creation, miracles coming your way when you're afraid. Instead, can you use your energy to remind yourself who you are at your best and highest self? So what, fun side note, is also the most talked about chapter of my new book, Stop Checking Your Likes. Number 9, don't take life so seriously. When I was a teenage waitress, the cafe owner that I worked for had a rule. Whenever we smashed a plate or a glass, we would laugh. It was policy, and it was an excellent policy. More recently, I was pacing my apartment, cursing at the ceiling loudly because I accidentally sent an email out with an incorrect link to the over 200,000 people on my email list. If you were a fly on the wall, you would have thought I was having a heart attack. But what happened really? Nothing. Nothing at all. I corrected it with another email, and a couple of people even emailed me saying it's really good to know that you're human. Can you laugh a little more? Nothing banishes feelings of inferiority or self-attack more than just having a really good sense of humor. Number 10, ask yourself, what is the best that can happen? I love this question. In fact, that's why I called my first book, What If It Does Work Out? This is one of the most awesome questions we can ask ourselves because the possibilities are endless. You might make a new friend, make a new career connection, even get a date when you put yourself out there more. The opportunities are abundant when you stop allowing fear and that nagging inferiority complex to get the better of you. Assume the power of positive expectation. What if all of your thoughts were directed to only the outcome that you wanted? You'd be surprised how often you'd get it. Number 11, magical rule here, don't take anything personally. If you are ready to experience some freedom, bliss, and kick-ass yes moments in your life, you will master this. Did maybe a friend cancel on you last minute? Oh well. Did a job interview feel really unsuccessful? Next. Maybe you didn't get that second date. That's okay too, because it's not all about you and what's wrong with you. The truth is, nothing other people do is because of you. What others say and do is a projection of their own reality, their own needs, and their own experience. We also have no idea what's going on with other people in their lives, and we assume this victim role when we constantly feel rejected by others. When you're immune to the opinions, actions of others, you won't be the victim of this needless suffering and worrying. So much time is consumed doing this. There is a tremendous amount of personal freedom you access when you take nothing personally. It is like the best drug on earth because you feel free. Number 12, have some self-compassion. Self-compassion is the best form of self-help. You can take it from me, a utter self-help junkie. Say you made a mistake. Big deal. Remember that so what question. What did you learn? It's no reason that your inferiority complex should rear its ugly head again. Think, what did I learn here? What's my takeaway? Most slip-ups, which are the vast majority of mistakes, can benefit by teaching us something. There's no such thing as life without mistakes, so take something useful from each minor mishap if you can. Can you apologize quickly if you think you did something wrong? Otherwise, maybe just let it go, chalk it up to being human, and then just focus on the next thing. Number 13, lose the perfection illusion. Couldn't we all just be a little nicer to ourselves? Really think about this for a moment. Why do we have this expectation that everything we have to do has to be done perfectly? Whether it's eating healthy all the time or making sure there are 0 spelling mistakes in our personal blog posts. Nothing sparks our inferiority complex more than this flawed belief that we need to be perfect somehow. I was eating brunch with a friend recently who was dying to start blogging, but her perfectionism had become this excuse. It prevented her from even beginning her blog. She said to me, I thought this was hilarious, "You know what's helping me push through my blogs? Reading your blog posts and your articles. Even with the occasional spelling mistake in them, you just do it." Well, that's true, and I forgive myself when I make mistakes, because being human is awesome. Remember, your screw-ups, spelling mistakes, whatever it may be, they're no big deal. Who cares? I love the old adage, done is better than perfect. Amen. 14, master your mind. Consuming uplifting content every day is a huge source of happiness and contentment for me. Self-help books, educational podcasts, inspirational articles. How does anyone live without this stuff? If I miss a single day, I notice it. This helps me in the present moment too, because I really seize my personal power and drop my inferiority complex when my focus is positive. External inspiration massively feeds internal inspiration. If you're ready to get started, I recommend kicking off with my most recent book, Stop Checking Your Likes. Here's one universal truth, well put by Eleanor Roosevelt. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. And I don't need to meet you to know that there is nothing inferior about you, my friend. And remember, the only person worth comparing yourself to is your own higher self. I'm so blessed to have you as part of my community. So tell me, has someone ever made you feel inferior? Or better yet, how do you combat these feelings when they crop up? If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and head on over to susie-moore.com to download my free self-coaching guide.